you that your team is doing well, unless they're playing my team, of course. My name is Lisa Edwards. I am the CEO of The Exclusive Career, and I host two podcasts. This one is The Exclusive Career, which is all things career management, leadership development, emotional intelligence, all those kinds of things. And my other podcast that I've been going has been going strong since 2017 is the Exclusive Career Coach podcast, where I go into more things job search related. And the most recent episode on there was about the hidden job market. And so, if that's interesting to you, I talked about how prevalent it is, why it exists, how you can get in it. If that's interesting, go take a listen to the Exclusive Career Coach, episode 359, I believe it was. All right, today we're going to talk about the big picture of your career and specifically the points at which a career coach can provide incredible value. And I'm going to give you a lot of examples of clients that I've worked with, while I'm fictionalizing their names, of course. Having said that, so this is going to sound maybe like, okay, this is a commercial for Lisa's services, but I want to be very clear up front in saying if I'm not your, favorite flavor, then I want you to find someone is who is. There are a lot of qualified career coaches out there. A lot of people work on various, have various structures to their coaching, lengths of time, costs, all of that. So, use your network for referrals, use your research skills to find the right person for you. If it's not me, if it's me, check out my email in the show notes and reach out to me. Let's start with a definition of career inflection points. So, the way that I did this was I started with my AI of choice, which is Gemini, and I said, what is an inflection point? And I got this definition. I thought, oh, okay, I need to ask what is a career inflection point. And I told it, what I was doing. I was writing some content for a podcast. And I liked this definition. So here we go. A career inflection point is a pivotal moment or significant turning point in your professional life where a decision or event can dramatically alter your future career trajectory. It's more than just a regular promotion or a job change. It's a moment of significant choice and change that forces you to reevaluate your path and consider new directions. These points often come with a mix of opportunity, uncertainty, and the need for a deeper level of strategic thinking. And what I liked about that definition is it wasn't just talking about the large pivot points, new job, major promotion, complete change of career direction, any of those kind of things, but also the issues that we all deal with from time to time that can have an outsized impact on our career success and trajectory, either positively or negatively. And the way that I thought about this as I processed that was it's easy to see that if you want to change industries, you want to change jobs, you want to change job functions, that's very clearly an inflection point in your career. And you're going to know that going in. That's a major shift. I think some of these others that are smaller are opportunities for inflection points that we can see really only in retrospect. So there's a difficult situation, for example, with your boss, with a coworker, with a direct report. There's a problem with a project that you're managing. When you can get the help that you need, feedback from the boss, get the help that you need, and perhaps that help comes from a career coach like me. Perhaps you need someone else's expertise, but you get the help that you need to work through that situation, and it can have an outsized impact afterwards on your opportunities for promotion, your opportunities for other key assignments, your opportunities for positions outside of your company, whatever it may be. But it's really only in retrospect that you can see, oh, that was most definitely an inflection point in my career. Next, I want to talk about when to bring in a career coach. Friends and family members and mentors can all always be invaluable for advice. But what we want to talk about with a career coach is the specialized knowledge and the objectivity and the structure that they can bring into a coaching arrangement. Those are going to be particularly beneficial in an inflection point. So whether it is this is someone who works very closely with the kind of problem that I have. So, very much a specialist in whatever. Or it could be someone who has a structure to their program that I really like. Here's my 4-step solution to solving your problem. Or as you talk with that person, perhaps in a consult like the ones that I offer, you really get a sense of who that person is and you feel confidence in their ability to guide you through this. And it could be something like what you're doing now when you're listening to my podcast. Oftentimes, people who come to me through the podcast will say they feel like they already know me because they've heard so many episodes of the podcast. They like what I say about topics. They believe that I can help them. So here are 6 specific situations when a career coach can make a significant difference for you. And the first one is you're feeling unstuck or unsure of your next move. And I want to be very clear in saying this is not a bad day or even a bad week at the office, but it's that persistent feeling that you're at a crossroads, that something needs to change and you don't have a path forward. And I find that people who come to me with this issue have two uh, opposite kind of responses to that, or two opposite issues. And one is they have so many options. They've thought about this and this and this. Maybe I want to start my own business. Maybe I want to do a pivot into another industry. Maybe I want to do a pivot into another career field within the same industry. Maybe I want to downsize my career a little bit because I've got family obligations. Maybe I want to really go for the next level. They just don't even know. And then the other people who come to me with this issue about next move don't know what the options are. So they feel stuck, they feel at a crossroads, but they can't vision, like it's like a wall, and they can't see what might be on the other side of it for them. And we need to develop options for them that we can then work through. A coach is going to help you identify your core values, your motivated skills, those that you're both good at and enjoy using, and your interests, as well as your maybe your personality type, to help develop that strategic roadmap to move you forward. And a friend, mentor is just not going to have the tools to do that. I also want to talk about with any of these that one of the things that we in the coaching industry like to say is that we hold space for our clients. It's actually kind of a central tenet of what we do. And what that means is that we don't tell you what to do. We don't give you advice from our perspective in terms of what we would do in the same situation, but rather we hold space for you to make that decision. We don't judge, we don't push, we don't pull, and we have an objective expertise that comes from outside of the bottle that you're in. Whereas your friends are going to say, okay, here's what I would do. Well, you don't need to know what they would do. You need to know what you want to do for yourself. The next one is you're preparing for a major leadership transition. And this could be moving into a position where you are managing people for the first time. It could be that now you're managing managers for the first time. It could be that you're going from managing a department to managing a major unit or even the entire organization. And at each of those levels, you're having to give up a part of what has gotten you where you are in order to embrace what you need to succeed in that level. And that can be going from being an individual contributor with a certain expertise and subject matter expertise to leading those people with that subject matter expertise. It could be being more strategic. It could be creating leaders from the people that report to you. And in each of those cases, you want both a framework to help do that, to make that transition successfully, and also a safe space to practice new strategies and new ways of doing things. An example of this one with a client that I've actually just re-engaged with last week, I'll call her Lynn. And Lynn has stepped into a SVP role in banking. And prior to that, she's managed a small team, but not really. She's seen herself as an individual contributor for the most part. And now she's got these people. And she is not one of those people that gets up in the morning to develop her team. It's not her number one jam. But she wants to be successful in this role and she wants her team to be successful. So we're going to be working together over the next 3 months or so to figure out what is unique and authentic to her in terms of how she can lead these people and be successful and have a cohesive, engaged team. The next one is you've been laid off or are unexpectedly unemployed. Deal with a lot of these people. And this can be a really disoriented experience. And so for many, it's not just about brushing up the resume and the LinkedIn profile and getting out there and looking for the next job. There can often need to be some reframing of what happened, talking about how do I express this to a prospective employer, and really working on any negative mindset aspects that might hold you back. And with that one, you also want someone who can help you craft a compelling resume, LinkedIn profile, practice interviewing, all of those things. My example here, I'll call him Mike, and he was laid off as a plant manager. I started working with him earlier this year, and he's navigating a job search to a more senior leadership role. Plant management is 24/7, 365. He was very burnt out from it. So he's looking for something that's a little bit more um, steady and predictable, and also uses his skills better. The next one is you want to make a significant career pivot or career reinvention. And the way that I describe pivot is if you think about your career consists of a job function within an industry, right? So you might be a data scientist working in, you know, a technical startup. You might be someone working in healthcare, marketing in healthcare. A pivot means you're going to step out of one of those areas while keeping one foot in the other area. So you pivot out of healthcare, but you continue to be a marketing person, right? A career reinvention is stepping out of both of those things. You're starting completely over again, often at a pretty junior level. So that's a big consideration. A coach in this situation is going to help you bridge the gap between what you were doing and what you are doing. And that includes identifying your transferable skills. It may include determining where you want to go to. What is this pivot or reinvention going to be to? And also there's some identity, loss of identity specifically, that comes with this kind of a change that you're going to want to navigate through. And while this area isn't my specialty, I tend to work with people on a fairly linear career path. I did recently work with, I'll call him Jeff, and he was transitioning from IT, so he was strictly a tech guy, but what he wanted to do was go into tech sales, and he had supported the sales team frequently, going on calls with them to be that technical expert in the room. And he wanted to now go into the more of the sales role where his technical skills would be highly valued. Another area is you're a high achiever and struggling with burnout. The passion is gone, the maybe the physical signs are there, the health issues. You've lost your mojo, right? And you're questioning if all of that success is worth it. And sometimes I find with this area, and sometimes I find with this area that people are confused by what the problem is. Is the problem that specific job? Do I need to, in fact, throw the baby out with the bathwater and completely pivot or reinvent my career? What's the issue? What is the root cause? So, a coach is going to help you get to that root cause, develop a framework for things like saying no. So, what are my boundaries? How can I get people to respect them or ask them to respect them? And what how can I redefine success in my life in a way that is more sustainable and healthy for me? A friend is often going to say, hey, just take a vacation. But of course, what happens is whatever the problem is, it's still waiting for you when you come back from vacation. And it may have grown while you weren't attending to it. My best example here, I'll call her Jill. And I worked with her. She was in the automotive industry in sales as the senior most female executive in the company. It was an automotive OEM, an original equipment manufacturer. And she was talking about, like, I have this gorgeous home and I'm never in it. I, have all this money. I could travel, I could do this and that because I'm making such great money, but I'm too sick. She was having a lot of physical issues, health issues because of her job. And so we worked through all of that, and she's in a much better situation now and has much better work-life balance. And then the final one I want to mention is you're contemplating entrepreneurship. And this is a frequent inflection point, and it's also a very complex one because just because you want to go work for yourself, what does that look like? What do you want to buy a franchise? Do you want to start your own business? Is this an online business versus a brick and mortar business? Do you want to just go and be employed by other companies as a contract worker, or do you want to hang out your own shingle? So there's so much of that, and a coach can help you with the decision-making process, vetting the possibilities, can help you with looking at your own finances to determine, do you have the runway for this, and how can you make the money, the numbers work, how creating a core business model, all of those things. And my best example here, I don't do a lot of this with people who are thinking about entrepreneurship, but currently I'm working with someone, I'll call him John. And when he came, I've worked with him number of times for probably 13, 14 years. And he most recently transitioned from a company. He was in a senior HR leadership role. And he knew that he didn't just want to jump back into corporate. He was done with corporate. And so we processed through some possibilities, thought about, and had him investigate. And he has ended up he's running a travel agent business. So he can do this out of his home, however many hours a week he wants to do it. And it goes through one of those big companies that will refer people to him. So he has a steady stream of prospects. In addition to those 6 areas, and let me give those to you again. So we have feeling unstuck and unsure of your next move, preparing for a major leadership transition, you've been laid off or unexpectedly unemployed, you want to make a significant career pivot, you're a high achiever struggling with burnout, and you're contemplating entrepreneurship. I also have clients who come to me around navigating difficult employees, whether that's their boss, coworkers, direct reports, managing a negative mindset, and also how to act on constructive feedback. And I've got some examples of each of these for you. And I want to be very clear in saying that these issues can be interrelated. And a good example is if you're having a difficult relationship with your boss, that can trigger a negative mindset about your boss, which would then affect the feedback and how you would receive the feedback that your boss would give you. With these 3 areas, I want to talk about how a coach can provide frameworks and strategies to help. So when we're talking about improved workplace relationships, this can involve learning how to communicate more effectively, how to set healthy boundaries, and how to understand different working styles and personalities. And right now I'm working with a woman, I'll call her Kelly. And our first session ever was to help her learn how to speak up in meetings and not be usurped by the men in the room. That there was a lot of um, overspeak over each other. And it wasn't just her, but she was in a very male dominated company. And we worked on some strategies for her to help this other person know that it was not okay that he was interrupting her and that she was going to finish her thought and her contribution. And and we are continuing to work on that, although she's seen tremendous strides already. The next one is that negative mindset. So when you can identify the root cause of the negativity, that can be fear of failure, imposter syndrome, lack of fulfillment, many other things. A coach can help you reframe your perspective so that you have that motivation. And my example here is I mentioned Lynn a minute ago that we're going to be re-engaging as we work on her leadership, senior vice president leadership role. When she initially came to me, She had kind of checked out of work for some time because of some personal issues that were going on with her family. And now that that issue had more or less resolved itself, she kind of picked her head up and looked around and realized, number one, people who came in at the same time as me or after me have surpassed me on the corporate ladder. And number two, I don't have a really great relationship with my boss, and I would really like to work on that. And those are the things that we worked on. And the final one is translating feedback into action. Sometimes it's really easy to get defensive when your boss, let's say, gives you feedback. It could be a 360 and you're hearing something, unpleasant from your direct reports or your colleagues. It's important to be able to work through the emotions around that and then create a concrete plan to address the area for development. And my example here, I'll call him Steve. He came to me, he had gotten feedback from his boss that he was micromanaging a contract vendor arrangement. This was for a huge infrastructure project in Canada, and he was managing a 1 billion, that's with a B, dollar project. And he found himself often in the weeds doing the work because the vendors weren't doing it. And he had matrix responsibility over them, but no real authority. And so we had a really sticky situation that we worked through very successfully because the boss had given him that feedback and also said, if you want a future here after this project is done, this is something you have to work on. So the stakes were quite high, and he knew that. All right. By tackling these challenges head on, you have this opportunity to move from reaction to proactive growth, right? So instead of like being angry or, I don't know, afraid, working from a place of fear, you get to be in growth mode, which is where we really always want to be. I wanted to next talk about how I help clients with these, just to give you a flavor, not saying that anybody else's looks exactly like mine. I'm quite certain that they don't, but I think you're going to hear sort of variations on a theme. I do a 45-minute consult with clients. Again, I've put that link in the show notes. And during that time, I learn about their situation, what are their goals, what are the gaps between where they are now and where they want to get. When I have clients who are in active job search mode for whatever reason, companies laid them off, companies said your position will no longer exist as of date, or they just are ready for the next thing. No one's showing them the door, they just want to go. They're going to be focused on things like they're probably going to say, I need help with my resume. I need to update my LinkedIn profile. They may say, I need some interviewing help, or I need some I don't know how to network. So a little bit of that kind of thing. But as I do the consult, I identify exactly where the needs are, right? Do they actually need interviewing help, or is something else more important to their success? And for those clients, I recommend the document and coaching package, which includes the resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile, and 4 coaching sessions that we can use to craft for exactly the issues that they want to work on, and 4 20-minute accountability or support calls, rather, that are just laser coaching. Come in, tell me what's going on, what progress have you made from last time, what are your goals for next time, zip, we're done. It gives you additional touch points with an expert, really helpful. So that's the document and coaching package. The next scenario is folks who come to me that do want to change jobs, but probably not for the next 9 months to a year. What is more immediately of concern to them is this challenge that they're facing at work. And I've given you a lot of flavors of what those challenges might look like through my examples. But it's something that the way I look at it is they either know it's going to hold them back from getting to the next level in their career, or it'll hold them back from being as successful as they want to be at that next level should they get the job. So it's kind of the reverse of the document and coaching package in that it's more career coaching forward. And for those people, I recommend the exclusive career accelerator. That's my gold standard package. We work together on a weekly basis for 6 months. And during that time, we address whatever those issues are, whatever that feedback is, and all of the other things that come up, because none of these things ever happen in a vacuum. There's always connectivity. And so we start working on a relationship with a direct report, for example. I've got a client right now that I'm working on. She had this problem direct report. And what came up in that process was that she needed to be more effective in talking about her kind of non-negotiables as a leader. What are those non-negotiables and how to do that often and in different ways so that they have to know what the rules are in order to play by them. And so it's become a lot bigger than just this one employee that she was having difficulty with. We meet weekly for 6 months, so up to 18 coaching sessions, and they also get resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile, and any job search coaching that they need as part of those 18 sessions. So that's the exclusive career accelerator. That's option two. Then option three are folks who come to me like the client, I think I called her Lynn, who isn't looking to leave, likes it where she's at, great opportunity there, but she's now got these people that she's that are reporting to her. Or previously, when she came to me, it was just coaching around, I'm checked out, I'm not engaged, got a sticky relationship with my boss, and we work specifically on those things. Typically, with those, we do either 6 sessions or 12 sessions, and we meet every other week. So it would be either a 3 month or a 6 month engagement. And we typically do those every other week so that the client can see some traction and get some movement on the thing we're working on in between sessions. And they can come back with some progress to talk about. Or conversely, like, okay, I tried that, that didn't work. Let's go back to the drawing board. So the sixth versus the 12 is simply a matter of how complex and multifaceted is what they are coming to me with, right? And that's a judgment call on my part. Frankly, I often will start with 6 sessions because it's super easy to add another 6 sessions on the end. But if a client really needs the help and I know that 6 sessions won't be enough, I really want them to commit to 12 because I know that's what it's going to take for them to really move the needle in a way that they're going to feel satisfied about the engagement. All right, here's my bottom line for you today. Seeking the help of a career coach when you need it at one of these inflection points is really no different than hiring, a plumber if your pipes break or an electrician when you've got an outlet that blows. You're finding a professional with expertise that you don't possess and you partner with them to get the result that you need. You know that you could, I don't know, go to YouTube videos and hopefully figure out how to fix your pipes or fix the outlet. However, is that learning curve, is the time and possibly money that you're going to put in, and time is money that you're going to put into that, is it worth it? And will you even get the same results as you would if you hired a professional? Or will you end up hiring a professional in the end because your attempt to, kind of cut corners, let's be honest, hasn't been successful? I don't want you to get electrocuted. I don't want you to flood. So if you need the help for any of these things or similar issues, reach out to me or another career coach so that you have that expertise and the help that you need. And again, everything's in the show notes to reach out to me, and I'll be glad to help you find someone if I'm not the right person for you. So I hope that this is has been helpful for you. And again, next week I'll be back over on the other podcast, the Exclusive Career Coach. And in 2 weeks, you'll see me back on this podcast. And I'll see you then. Take care.